Hey everyone, Erin here, your hostess with the mostest, and welcome back to Becoming Me, the weekly vlog thingy that I talk about my week. Usually filled with terrible stuff, sometimes filled with cool things, but anyway, let's go ahead and just see what's on the agenda for today, or this week. Before I get into anything, one thing I would like to let everyone know: when I swallow to adjust my larynx when I'm talking, I'm not going to edit that anymore. It's way too time consuming and it's really making me not have time for other things that I want to do for my channel. But just to demonstrate for those that are new that haven't seen it, it's like I'll be talking and then I'll go to readjust a little bit. And that's how it goes, because it's like a balancing act. But anyway, there's a lot to go over in just HRT, so I'm gonna go over that now. And start with, I put on makeup again. I probably look a little pale. I tried using like a lighter one because I remembered liking it more, but I don't think it worked out very well. It kind of just disintegrates when it hits my skin, and I don't understand why that is. But yeah, so I didn't put on mascara this time. I don't think it really shows up, so I don't think it was really making much of a difference anyway. So there's that. But to start things off with, like, my sexual attraction and things like that have really changed lately. Like, I've actually been more touch-starved. And I'm sure a lot of people understand how that feels and can relate to that. Like, oh my god, I just want to cuddle. I just want to hold someone's hand. I just want to feel somebody, you know? And, like, I guess I might have had that in the past, but I never really recognized it as that. And, well, being John and, you know, how all that was and just the big mess that it was, like, it always jumped straight to the fucking. So, like, but now, like, I haven't really looked at anything like that, and I find just touching and cuddling and like foreplay and things like that way more like arousing than, like, you know, for getting me in the mood, I think. But I mean, once I'm in there, then yeah, I'll do whatever you want. So there you go. But the next thing I want to talk about is like actually looking at the privileges I have. I think it was last week. It might have been the week before that. I have so many I have to get through, but I talked about this TERF that was saying that trans women are getting male privilege somehow. And, like, I want everybody out there that, you know, has a privilege to understand that they have that and appreciate that and not take it for granted, because, like, other people won't have that. And I know I put myself down about being really old and not knowing how to do makeup and things like that. But, like, and I might have said this in a previous one, like, I do have privileges over other trans women. Like, I have a little bit of disposable income because I'm an adult. I have, like, a job. A lot of trans women don't have jobs. A lot of them can't find work. It's really hard for them. I don't have to worry about, like, someone dictating my life around me and then, like, kind of holding who I am for ransom and things like that. And, well, when it came to me actually transitioning and starting to transition, there were a lot of privileges in just that too. Like, I already had a lot of time to start thinking about things by myself. And I don't have coworkers at my job, so I didn't have like that worry of people like looking at me weird, really, or harassment, you know. I had all these things, and that really helped me to my transition. But I guess I just want people out there to understand what they have that others might not have, and to not like feel jealous or be upset at someone. Like, we all have things that we want, we all have things that we have, and you know, we tend to want more and not appreciate what we have. So I guess that's why I was going with that. Oh, and the next thing, if you're on Twitter, follow me at _ transgaming, one word, _ right? Yes, I think that's it. And if you use the emoji shield, it'll look like this. And hopefully I'll put this in. That means that your account is, or you as a person, are not aligned with transmed and true scum. And well, what are those terms? I might make a crying hour about like all these different terms later on, but transmeds essentially feel like you aren't trans. You can't even call yourself trans until you get sexual reassignment surgery, or until you get this or that. And true scum think that in order to be trans or be non-binary, you have to have dysphoria. And both of those things are untrue, and really people just need to be able to be themselves, explore like what their gender is, what that means to them, and all of that. So yeah, they're bad people. They're really gatekeeping, and it's, you know, it's a slippery slope. Like, if you let other people dictate what makes you you, then what's not to say that they can just dictate this and that? And well, truthfully, that's kind of happening for not just trans people, but everyone, really. And I'll be getting to that. And then another thing that I did this week that made me kind of actually look at myself, because I haven't done that in a while. I was talking to one of my friends, and I tried to demonstrate like a taping technique that women use to like get themselves cleavage when they don't like have it yet, or have it already. And when I was doing that, I got to take a long, good look at like my upper torso, and it really doesn't have any kind of shape to it at all. And that made me really upset and dysphoric. But it's good, because now I'm actively trying to wear my waist trainer again. Because, well, I was so busy for weeks and weeks that I never had any time to really kind of sit down and do anything at my house, which meant that I couldn't wear my waist trainer. So maybe that's why, like, there's no shape there. But hopefully there will be soon. And then, lastly, in all of this HRT thing, this is more of like a reflection. I was looking through old videos that I have saved on the computer, and I found one from like 5 years ago of John doing like this presentation thing for UAT, and I didn't watch it long. I couldn't really. It looks so weird, but also like when I watch him talk, and I know that, like, that came out of my mouth at one point. Like, he looked and sounded like he was dead inside. And, well, now it makes sense, understanding that he's a construct and stuff like that. And it also makes sense that when I started transitioning and I first talked to a couple of friends from Final Fantasy 14, and that's my phone's alarm, it sounds like Metal Gear. But, I should have muted it, sorry. They were saying, like, I sound so much more happy, more alive than in the past. And, yeah, it's true. Well, I guess that's it for HRT. Let's see what's next on the agenda. I'm gonna try and limit, like, the pomp and circumstance of all this, because I have so much to get through. I just want to explain what's going on and then my feelings on it, and hopefully it won't really tear up my voice. But here's the first one. When we talk about, like, transphobia in the media and, like, the media shaping stories and stuff like this, here's The Hill with an article, and their tweet says, West Virginia assistant principal loses job after, and there's a typo, after allegedly telling trans student, you freak me out. And it's meant to instill, like, fear and rage, and it basically creates that narrative that transphobes are trying to sell to people, that, like, trans people are bullies, and that, like, everyone is trying to be, like, has to be subjected to us or something. And when you actually read the article and figure out what's going on, like, the assistant principal told a student to go to the bathroom in front of them while they watched. Then they said, you freak me out. Like, without that context going into it, like, this seems like, oh my god, trans people are out of control. I'm gonna lose my job because I, misgendered someone and all this other crap. But the truth is that this principal is violating a student's basic human right of, like, decency and privacy for their genitals. Like, it keeps happening. Why the fuck does it keep happening? Alright, next. Even more transphobia in the news and, well, tweets and journalism like that. Here's something that people don't understand. Like, these people weaponize transphobia. They have so much reach and so many followers, it's crazy. And we often don't really even know that. You just see someone's name and you see that someone retweeted. But if you actually look into them and you see that in some cases tens or hundreds of thousands of people follow this person and might see this and then spread it, and now, like, you're really in a bad spot. And I'm gonna kind of go into it here, but, like, this is a really good one. There's a couple others, but this one I'm definitely going to read, because this person says, I just seen a tweet by a male journalist at a progressive outlet telling women that their fear of sexual assault is distorted, wild, and irrational. Imagine coming out with a take that nuclear in this of all weeks. Now, remember this. They said that women's fear of being sexually assaulted is distorted, wild, and irrational. This person has 100,000 followers. Someone who retweeted it has 20,000 followers. And the actual thing that the guy said was this: imagine, of all the threats we face today, thinking that the real threat, the people who really deserve to be fought against, are trans people. Imagine how warped, how distorted your sense of proportion would have to be. This is what phobia is, people. Wild, irrational fear. Phobia is being described as wild and irrational fear. They have transphobia. They just took the words distorted, wild, and irrational and mixed them up in however what they wanted. And looking at these things, I don't know how many his tweet actually got at this point. I might have to look into that. But just the fact that over 100,000 people saw this. Like, these are likely women that feel really vulnerable, that may or may not be allies for trans people, and they see this, and they see all this time about, like, a trans person got this person fired, or that people think that someone's real fear of being sexually assaulted is somehow irrational. And, like, it's all in how they frame it. It's all in how they present it. And it's working. Really, we're kind of at war in this. And I have more for that, but I don't think I saved it, so I won't be able to talk about it. But, anyway, let's go on to the next topic. Speaking of war, here's a tweet, and I guess Brazil and the United States stand side by side in their efforts to ensure liberties and respect to traditional family lifestyles, respect to God, our Creator, against the gender ideology or the politically correct attitudes, and against fake news. Whoa, now that's a nuclear take. Here's the problem. Like, people should be free to express themselves, like, no matter what, religion you are, or gender, or sexuality, and all those things. Ugh. And with freedom of speech in the US, people are using that as, like, a freedom of hate. Like, more like a freedom to silence other people because you don't agree with them. Like, I'm not trying to silence anyone. I want to be able to live without people hating me. And again, the whole thing about biology, science, everything, it supports the existence of trans people. History supports us too. But right now, trans people are a wedge issue, and people around the world, but especially in the US, are using us as an example and attempting to roll back any rights that were given to anyone in the LGBTQ plus community. Like, I don't have the tweets, but I wanted to show them. There was they're trying to remove any kind of history or education about LGBTQ plus people in schools. And it's basically like white conservative Catholic people, for the most part, or maybe that's a stereotype, but I really don't know because I don't know these people. They see gender as an ideology and not as something that a person is and how they are able to express themselves. Whoa. And so, because they see it that way and they frame it that way, it is like, in a sense, religion in schools. So then they can be like, well, I don't want that religion to be taught in school, so get rid of it. And that's kind of what is going on right now. Anyway, next topic. Okay, I really want to share this one because when I read it the first time, I was like, holy shit. And it sort of like made me understand how we're a wedge issue and how fighting people's gender is like trying to roll back all LGBT whatever stuff. And I may just read word for word. There's so much like just dynamite stuff they're talking about here. But anyway, attacks on gender start with trans people, then comes for lesbians, gays, bisexuals, then it goes for the cisheads who don't conform to your Eurocentric gender standards, before ending at no bodily autonomy for cis women and forced pregnancies and or sterilization. And some people might think, well, that's, a little extreme. I don't think they're actually going to do that. And, I would tend to agree, except that Donald Trump is president right now. And there are definitely people out there that feel this way, that feel that women shouldn't have any kind of bodily autonomy. And there are many countries in the world right now where to be legally transgender, like within the government, like on your papers and stuff like that, you have to be sterilized. Like, what the fuck? That's like really inhuman. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep going. Okay. Attacks on gender are inherently racist because they are based in white supremacy. There is no global standard for cis heteronormativity. It varies by culture. White supremacy pushes it through colonization and imperialism by using Western religions like Christianity and Catholicism. And that's so true, especially that last bit. Like, I talk about white supremacy. And, like, I was born and raised Baptist. And, like, I'm a Christian, and I believe in a lot of that. But a lot of people that do just use it to sort of validate their hate and their prejudice to other people. And I never really saw it, like, framed in just a way like how that is. It's literally white supremacy within church and using their values as a way to somehow, like, supplement their own bigotry and just general racism in order to push it. I'm going to keep going because it's good stuff. Again, like I was saying before, people might not be worried about it because, like, oh, they're not going to do that here. It's shitty because people are mostly chill about this, since they just see it as a correcting of confused transes. And it reminds me of that quote, I don't remember what it was, but it's like, And at the end, then they came for me. And there was no one left to stand up for me because other people didn't stand up. It's important right now that people like support trans rights and support others, because we are the wedge right now for what's it called, civil rights. That is what we're going through. That is what the world is going through right now. And when we really need to be having much more attention and pressure on like big companies and then doing all the problems with causing global warming and that we won't have a world to live in 12 years and things like that. But no, like people are just attacking trans people. Like, just let us live. But, you know, here we go. Let's see if there's more. There's too much. I can't read it all. It's just, the fact is, like, you think you might be safe, but, or you think might, in like political terms, you're not choosing a side, that you're neutral. But by not having a side, you are choosing a side. You're choosing to let things happen. You're choosing to let people that are bullies do what they want. You're choosing to not have your own say in what's going to happen to the world that you live in the future. And it's not good. We really need to fight for each other. And I know I've not always been a LGBTQ plus ally, and I feel really bad for that. And it's important that people are allies, because it's like they say, if they have enough power and enough control to do what they want, they will do it. And I don't know how to stop them. I don't know how any of that works. Like, the fact that the president is still in the seat, the fact that these things are still happening, I don't know where it's going to end, but I don't think it's going to end with just trans people. I don't think so at all. Alright, next topic. Alright, there's like kind of a layer of tweets here, but it starts with Netflix made this announcement and they're like, oh, we're gonna get even gayer this summer, and people were calling them out on their shit, because it's kind of like how last year during June, which is Pride Month, there were a lot of companies that were, you know, having pride things and making stuff on Twitter for it, and then as soon as it was over, they were going back to being transphobic and all that kind of stuff. But it's really important here because this person points out Netflix has a history of repeatedly sabotaging their shows about, like, to have LGBTQ plus representation as like the main part, not just like, oh, there's a gay character in it, or oh, there's a bi character, or even the, oh my god, there's actually a trans person kind of thing. And then they shut it down despite people saying that they wanted it, and then claim it wasn't wanted. And I don't have it because this was like from weeks ago, but I remember there was this tweet and they were talking about how, and I'll back it up because I think it's in here, the show that I had never heard of, and I have Netflix, is One Day at a Time, and it had like a lot of good representation of like real situations for LGBTQ plus members, and like there was no promotion for this. People were going out of their way to try and get more people involved to want to watch it. And like, everyone really loved it that did watch it. But they didn't promote it. And then they were like, oh, it's not doing very good, so we're gonna shut it down. And like, everybody's really upset. But like, I don't understand companies. Like, I really don't understand networks or that kind of thing, because the whole promoting and then shutting down and stuff like that. But when you shut down like real depictions or positive depictions of LGBTQ plus people, like, you're kind of like closing off a space where people in that community can feel proud of themselves, that can like have that connection. I mean, I imagine that most people, when they're watching different television shows and stuff, they're thinking about the situations, they're thinking about these characters, they relate to these characters. And that's like exactly why there needs to be shows that are able to be for like just LGBTQ plus people, or not necessarily even just for them only, but have like a much bigger sense of the world and not so narrow of like ideas and stuff like that. And they put it really, really well here. They said, Netflix canceled one day at a time. Netflix pretty mercilessly killed and tortured the gays in Umbrella Academy. Netflix hasn't promoted season 3 of Queer Eye at all at this point. This is literally queerbaiting in action. Shut the hell up with this getting gayer crap, Netflix. We see you. Don't take shit from companies. They love giving us shit. I remember all the crap that went through with like the whole FCC and how much phone companies actually have been shitting on people, and like, I can't even get into it right now. I really shouldn't. And I don't even know that much about it. But yeah, like, what the fuck, Netflix. Alright, next one. This person, Christina, pointed out some really terrible normalization of just how like subhuman, and that's not my favorite word, but apparently it's going to be. Like, it's probably gonna pop up in searches for all of my videos. But how trans people are treated as subhumans. And it's like, here we go. This is the kind of bullshit we have to put up with. The media is normalizing this sort of stuff. Calling for her kids to be taken away from her is not and will never be okay just because she's trans. Calling for trans people to wear a badge that says, hey, I'm trans, is a Nazi idea. Like, there's a difference between you yourself being like, oh, by the way, these are my pronoun pins, this is good. But imagine someone like a government thing or whatever is like, you have to be issued this badge that it's hard enough, it's scary enough being trans in the real world, and like feeling really vulnerable and scared and wondering if like I pass or not. And then like, if people even saw you and treated you like how you actually are and who you are, and then they see the thing and they're like, oh, well, no, you're not, you're this, and then that invites other ideas. It's like, people are like, oh wait, that person's wearing a badge. I hate those people. Let's go beat them up. And like, I mean, these are kind of like radical cases, but I don't think that they're all that radical. Like, it's in the process of being normalized. And this is like, these are the ideas that people are having. And I'm going into like their main tweet that they had in a conversation. They said, if you're saying my kid should be taken away from me, I will literally fight you. And then this person's like, children are removed from abusive homes on a regular basis. Reason could be domestic violence or sexual abuse. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be removed from homes that manipulate children into taking adult decisions at a young age that later in life leads to regret. Before I go on, I really have to address that. Like, people for some reason think that by having a trans parent or by having trans people around you, you're somehow being forced to be trans. Like, if you're not trans, you're not trans. If you're not non-binary, then you're not non-binary. You know, it's not something that you catch. It's something that you are. It's something that you've always been, but you never, like, you need some kind of representation of the world to understand that. And it's framed by everyone, so it makes sense in that. But, well, these people think that, like, a trans parent's, like, looking at their kid who could be trans, could be non-binary, could be cis, and being like, you're not actually this, I know, because I was like you, or whatever. And if people are actually doing that, then that's really not good. I don't think people are actually doing that. There's no reason to do that. You shouldn't, like, put down your kid and say, like, that you're this or that you're that. Let them be who they are. Oh, and then this whole later in life leads to regret. Oh my god. People love to use that. It's like, why transition? You're just gonna be upset. And it's not the fact that you a transition that makes you that way. It's the fact that the world hates you and vilifies you and makes you into less than a human, abuses you, and like all these different things. And like, here's the thing, and I saw a tweet about this too. I'm kind of going off on tangent. That's not good. I have to go for time. But in this tweet, they were talking about how someone says, oh, guys, I'm transgender. And then people are like, but are you sure? Yes. Like, typically when people say that and they like have the courage to do that and like let someone else know, they have wrestled with the idea. They have fought against it. Most trans women that I know went through a phase of hypermasculinity where it's like, I'll just be more manly and then that'll work out, right? And it just makes you more upset. And it's because you're like fighting against who you are, because you think there's something wrong with it. Then you think that there's something wrong with being trans. And the world is framing it as that. So that's why you see it as that. Oh, excuse me. And then this other person responded to them, said, I know I'm on tangents. Do please explain how children having a trans person for a parent is abusive. I'd love to hear this. Here we go. It says, It gives children a twisted image of what is normal behavior. It is similar to terrorists who twist the children's perception of morality. That too leads children to commit actions that they may regret later in life. Both these cases indoctrinate children towards sin. Wow. Being a loving parent, that's a sin. Apparently. Jeez. And then that's when this person, said, and where we got into the badge as Nazi things. This person's like, okay, as a suggestion, joking, like, basically saying something hyperbolically so that they'll be like, oh wait, no, you're right, I'm being really dumb. But then, no, of course, people on the internet never are like that. They never admit then they're being dumb. And this person says, so should LGBT folks be forced to wear some sort of badge so everyone knows to keep their kids away from them? And then this person's like, yes, that would definitely help. I think it is important that we know if a person has gone through a sex change. What the fuck? Why is that important? If you're not, like, actually in a physical relationship with that person, you should know about their genitals. Like, stop it. Stop it, sis. This guy. Not my friends. You guys are cool. But, like, just in general, like, why do people feel like they need to know what's in another person's pants? Like, even if you are in a physical relationship, like, there's different, there's different, like, levels to a physical relationship. And it doesn't always require genitals. And there's asexual people, too. Like, there is so much. Anyway, I'm just, God. It would be a disaster if people were born men, but later changed into women, and there wasn't any way or tools for the public to know the truth. Oh my God. I almost wanted to vomit right there. Alright, I'm back from vomiting. Or whatever. But, again, like, when you are out and you're seeing people, I understand that you might look at people and see them and they look either masculine or feminine, and in your head, you're like, oh, that person's a man and that person's a woman. Well, you can keep that to yourself. It doesn't have to be like the actual, like, who they are, because they might be presenting differently. They might be something else. They might be cis with, like a cis woman that has more masculine features. Because honestly, it's a lot more cis women that are getting hurt. Well, I mean, trans women get hurt most, but a lot of cis women are also getting hurt from all this transphobia around bathrooms and stuff. And, like, this really narrow idea of what femininity is and what a woman is. But my God, imagine if you had to wear a badge around everywhere that said, this is what I have downstairs. Like, what the fuck? Please just stop asking about my genitals. If I'm not, like, in a relationship with you, it doesn't matter. You're not gonna see them. You're not gonna have anything to do with that. Like, anyway, next topic. Alright, there's way too much to go into, like, this next one, and it's a big, long journal so I'm just gonna kind of explain it. But this person brought it up because they're transphobic and an asshole. But they described what I had talked about previously in one of my vlogs, rapid onset gender dysphoria, as a groundbreaking discovery. And the thing is the person who made this discovery from their research actually corrected it, that they were wrong about that and how it was framed. And they're getting all uppity like that, oh, trans people are like attacking them and making them change it or whatever. Like, it was just like a slight change of the wording in it, not even all that great. But they see it as like an attack on these ideas. And the truth is that rapid onset gender dysphoria doesn't exist. What goes on in the article, and other people are talking about it, is that the research involved doing interviews of parents of trans people. That's it. Just parents of trans people. I mean, as a youth, as a kid, as anything, like, how often were you, in your room and away from your parents, or keeping, like, different things that you like, or different things about yourself from your parents because you were worried maybe that they would be judgmental, or they would take it away, or they would, like, hate you for it. And someone brought a really good point up. It's like, I need to find like the original tweet for this. I think there's even like a meme about it. But it's like, once upon a time, when people were left-handed, they forced them to use their right hand and tie their left hand behind their back. So they learned how to write like that. And then when that was dropped, and people were allowed to use their left hand again, then all of a sudden there was a lot of lefties. There was all these people that were left. What's going on? It's rapid onset left-handedness or something. Or it's rapid onset this or that. And what it is it's just the public, like, vision, the public visibility that this is going on. That it can definitely differ from trans person to trans person, but for the most part, it's something that you have been born with. That there are certain things about the world, about the other gender or the other genders, that are so like a part of that gender, that they're so represented out in the world. When you first experience it and understand what it is and how it relates to who you are and how you see others, that's how you know. And I think about when I was younger and I was like, the only thing keeping me from being a girl is the thing I have downstairs. And it's that kind of thing. Like, no one is, actually happy and content fully of being, say, like a man for 30 years. And then all of a sudden they hate it and it's terrible and they want to be a woman. Like, that's not how this works. But it's how people see it from the outside. Inside that person, more than likely, since really young or in their adolescence, when they really started to understand like other genders and differences and stuff like that, they felt this problem, this like issue with themselves that they didn't understand. And the ways that they dealt with it could be hypermasculinity, it could be this, it could be that. And over time, it just starts to break them down. They don't understand it, and they look for things. Or even if they don't understand it and they don't look for things, they already know, but they're in denial of it, or they feel like it can't be them. I mean, I was definitely there for a while, even before, like, okay, this is this is gonna sound silly, but, like, it's kind of common for some trans women. Or like, you know, wow, I wish I was a woman. But I'm not. Why do you wish you were a woman? Like, think about it. And like, it was even bad when I was like, I wish I was trans. Like, whatever. Okay. Anyway, bottom line, rapid onset gender dysphoria doesn't exist. There's no evidence for it. This article that brought it up, that made it a thing that now people use to justify not supporting their kids, to excommunicating them from their houses, to say that transgender people are a disease or an ideology or all this or whatever, was because they fucking just talked to parents about trans kids. Like, god damn it, that's not going to be accurate. It's going to be so biased. You have no idea. Anyway, let's go to the next one. I think it's the last one at this point. That'll be good. Oh yes, I almost forgot this one, but this is really good, and it just, again, it goes along with everything I've been talking about. But what's important is that people feel like they're being forced, that they don't have a choice to be trans or not, or to have trans people in their spaces, or this or that. And this trans person's like, you know, there's all this religious claptrap about choosing to be gay, or choosing to be a lesbian, or bi, or pan, or queer, or ace, and they were baptized into Catholic faith when they couldn't even talk, when they didn't have any ability to do that. They weren't given a choice. They were indoctrinated at their home in school. And when they came out as trans, the family that I'm going to bring up basically what they were talking just now, and like as an example, say a trans kid is born and they are baptized and brought into a church and told to do this and told to do that, and they don't have a choice. Like, I remember when I was younger, in like high school or whatever, I visited another country, and I stayed with a host family there, and the mother was a different religion than the father, than the son even. But how often is it like that? How many homes are like, you know, they don't respect your ideas, whatever. Religion is indoctrination, like, flat out. You raised in a Catholic or Baptist environment, and they force all these ideas on you, and they try to mold you into what they think you should be, and not like let you be who you want to be. And then they get surprised when you don't like it. But again, like, those people that force you into that say, like, being gay or being lesbian or being trans is a choice, and then they reject you when you come out, when you let them know who you are. And that's their choice. That's very, very important. People don't want to give others choices. They want control. And churches are all about indoctrination. I'm probably going to do a crying hour about my religion and my history and everything with that at some point. I don't know when, because God, I'm so far behind. But imagine you being forced into something that you're not actually. And then when you let people know who you are, people, they don't respect it. They don't acknowledge it. They don't get spotted. I forgot to mute it. Oh well. Thanks a lot for that. I guess that's where I'll end this vlog. Oh, it's been a long, rough week. But I hope everyone is having a good time, maybe. But I don't know what. I just know that a lot of YouTubers say stuff like that. And truthfully, of course, I'm always wanting to talk to people. I'm always wanting to, know how you're doing, communicate with you, hear what's up with your world, what you like, and things like that. But it feels so weird to me to be like, hey, how was your week? And stuff. I'd rather do that more so, like, in person, I guess, or like in DMs or something. But now I'm rambling, so I guess that's my cue to stop this. And as always, if you stay till the end, you're a real sweetheart. And take care, everybody. Bye.